What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another match review for you guys as Spurs drew 2-2 with Manchester United at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday. And look, as much as we want to say that it was a good performance from Spurs yesterday, which it definitely was in the second half, it's the similar thing, wasn't it, that we've seen all season, where we play poorly in one half and play well in another half, and it was just more of the same of that yesterday, wasn't it?
It reminded me very similarly to a lot of the performances earlier in the season under Conte, where we were kind of okay/poor in the first half, where we would make mistakes, concede some chances, but also have a couple of chances of our own without making the most of it, but can make really bad mistakes and concede goals like we did in the first half yesterday, and then come on really strong in the second half. It wouldn't be enough. But in the first, in under Conte, you usually would lose the game. Like, for example, it reminded me very similar to me, like the game against Liverpool this season. Very, very similar. First off, we were okay, but we made some mistakes to concede goals, and we conceded more chances, and we go into half-time 2-0 down. We get back in the game in the second half. The only difference is this time we actually got the equaliser, and we were more clinical. In the game against Liverpool, we just missed loads of chances and weren't able to get anything out of the game. So I thought it was very, very similar to that kind of performance, but it's been a long time since we've had a level of performance like that, where we were creating loads of chances, we were looking creative going forward. We had it seemed like in the second half, we had players closer to each other a lot of the time, so we were able to play a bit quicker passing. But again, the game plan did seem to be a lot of the time get the ball out wide, get crossed in the box and flood the box. And that has been the game plan a lot of the season. We just did it better yesterday, I felt.
Yeah, and I think you got to give credit to Ryan Mason for being able to pull the team together in that second half. But it does make me think, with the level of performance in that second half, it just makes me think about these players even more, because it's like the system wasn't too different, the game plan wasn't too different, but the players seem to put a lot more application and desire and heart and pride into that second half. And where was that? Where has that been for the last few weeks, for the last few months? And it just makes me think, why are these, it's just the same thing, isn't it? That these players throw managers under the bus. When they get their way, they start performing again. And it's just hard to take, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very difficult to kind of justify that as a professional footballer who shouldn't need all the time a manager constantly motivating you. You have to find your own motivation as well. I think when you look at these top managers, obviously, people like Pep and Klopp and whatever, obviously they're very good at motivating their players, but they also have a set of players who they don't have to consistently keep motivating them non-stop. There gets to a point where you have your own self-motivation for the team. You have to be able to put all your all in for the team. And it seems like the set of players that we have, a lot more often than not, it's like when things aren't going right for them, then they kind of down tools a bit, and they don't always put in 100%. And I think yesterday was case in point. We upped our game, we decided to play well, and all of a sudden you saw the chances were being created and there was a lot more effort being put in the game, and that has been the case. It was interesting to read a Harry Kane interview after the game saying about they had a discussion with Levy after the Newcastle game, and they wanted an honest conversation about what happened. He said it wasn't just that game. He said it's something that's been building up for the last few weeks, especially since a Southampton game. There's been a fracture in the squad, and he said that result was coming, and it was only a matter of time, kind of thing, till that result hit us. Yeah. And that happened, unfortunately, in a very big game on Sunday. But that goes to show it's been something that the players have known that it's been brewing within the team, and it's so difficult to when you're a fan of the team, you expect them to have a certain level of professionalism, and that went out the window last Sunday. But thankfully, it was back yesterday.
Yeah, and look, as much as we got absolutely battered at St James's Park, and we needed to see a reaction after that. And when the game started, if you bring up the progress bar, when the game started, it was pretty much more of the same, wasn't it? We started the game terribly. Man United were on top; they were peppering us. Within 7 minutes, they go 1-0 up. Rashford skips past Højbjerg, and Skip, by the way, plays it out to Sancho. I thought Porro and Romero should have got a lot closer to Sancho, to be fair, and Sancho just shifts out and has a stunning strike, really, into the far corner, and that's 1-0.
It was just so easy. Yeah. There was no challenges. Again, Skip put in a challenge, but I thought was weak. weak challenge on Rashford. Should have won the ball there. Didn't. He comes off second best, and then when Sancho gets the ball, he's got. I know that you've got Eriksen coming on the outside, so I guess Porro has to make a judgment. Does he go with Eriksen or stay with Sancho? But you've got 3 players around Sancho there. One of them has got to engage and be a lot closer to him, make sure it doesn't get the shot off. None of them decide to be aggressive. Each player stands off him, Romero included. And with someone like Sancho's ability, I know he's having a poor season and a poor time Man United, but we know what ability he has. If you let him get a shot off, there's always a decent opportunity he can find the corner, and he did. It was a great goal, though, to be fair.
It is a great goal, but you look at the first minute of the Newcastle game, right? Porro and Romero, I think it was, just letting Joe Linton just waltz into the box.
Mm-hmm.
And I know maybe Sancho showed a lot more quality maybe than Joe Linton did, but it's pretty much the same thing. He's just letting Sancho waltz in and take a shot, and they just let Joe Linton do the same. And then, how can you let that happen from the first minute of the Newcastle game? You're asking for a reaction. You're hoping for reaction. The players are saying how distraught they were from that Newcastle game, and straight away in the first 5 minutes, they're doing the same thing.
Yeah, I would say Sancho's goal was better. It was a tighter angle, and it was a better strike. But again, you have to be more aggressive. You have to be closer. You have to be closing him down, and that was really frustrating. That straight away, you have a similar situation, and that you got to give credit to Sancho, but you have to say after what happened on Sunday, again, it's unacceptable that we're not being aggressive, we're not closing them down, we're letting players have the advantage, and that's not good enough.
I thought Man U were on top for the most part in that first half, but the goals that they did score were our own undoing, weren't they? I mean, I thought it was poor defending for both goals, but albeit you've got to give credit to Sancho because it's a brilliant strike. It really was a brilliant strike. But after that goal, Man United keep piling on the pressure. Bruno slips in Sancho. Romero makes a good block. It finds its way back to Sancho. And he takes another shot, deflects off Porro, and Perisic is there on the line to block it. And that's basically nearly 2-0. What was it, after 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Yeah, that was quite lucky because, again, they opened us up. Bruno and Rashford were finding all sorts of space in between our midfield and the defence. I felt like our midfield, as probably expected, couldn't cope. They had Casemiro and Eriksen kind of putting pressure on them, and when they were pressing, without Dyer stepping into midfield, Bruno was pretty much given acres of space to play within, and he was finding it pretty much with ease throughout that whole first half. And as you say, he set up that chance for Sancho. He had a shot on goal as well, which forced Forster into a save. And also as well, he put a brilliant ball over the top to Rashford, who forced another good save out of Forster at the back post. So he was really creating lots in that first half, Bruno, and we couldn't cope with him. Rashford was stretching us as well. He was picking up the ball in awkward positions. He had a shot with his left foot on the left-hand side, forced another save out of Forster. So those two were the main players for me in that first half, where we just couldn't live with them in the first half, and it was difficult. And that second goal, is it any surprise who the two players were that linked up?
No, it wasn't at all. And you could see that goal from Rashford coming before that goal came. I mean, like you say, Forster made a good save, but I think there was actually a couple of chances where Rashford probably should have done better. And I felt like the goal he scored was probably the hardest chance out of the lot.
To be fair to Tottenham, just before they scored their second, I think Perisic had a header from a corner, which forced a good save out of De Gea.
Goal as well, didn't he?
Harry Kane had a chance on a breakaway, which went pulled across the face of goal, which no one was there to tap in. And then, literally, this was few seconds before Rashford scored. Kane plays Perisic through on goal. And I think Perisic, he didn't look like he was convinced he was going to score. He was heading towards goal, and then I feel like he just had that lack of confidence to really go centrally, and he forced himself a bit out wide just to make sure he had the space. Because if he goes a bit more centrally, you get yourself a better angle, but then you're closer to a defender who can maybe tackle you. He decides to go a bit more out wide, goes down to the left, uses left foot, and the finish is straight at De Gea, to be honest. And then literally they break away from that moment, and it's just one long ball. Is it a good ball from Bruno? Yeah, but this is what we say about Eric Dyer every single time. He can't be left on him or by himself to defend against quick strikers. Every single good team in this league, most teams anyway, but if you look at all the top 6 teams, you got Haaland for City, Isaac for Newcastle, you got Gabriel Jesus for Arsenal. You can pick any team. They all have very quick strikers in those positions. Man United team happened to have Rashford in this instance, but it could have been any of them. And one long ball, Dyer has a 2 yard head start on Rashford, but he can't keep up. He's way too slow. And not only is he way too slow, once Rashford has him squared up, Rashford has all the space down that on his left hand side. Dyer knows he's got Longley and I think it was another defender both covering on the inside. So what Dyer should be doing is making sure that he can't go on the outside, busting a gut to get down that line and make sure he can't get down the outside so that he has to cut inside and go run into traffic. What Dyer does is he's decided in his head, I don't want Rashford to get on in his right foot, so I'm going to show him down the line. But all what he's done is just allowed Rashford to go in all the space he wants and just not got near him whatsoever. And in the end of the day, he did well, Rashford, to get beyond him and finish it. But Dyer is just, this is what we talk about. Like, if you had like a Van Dijk or a Saliba or a Kanji or a Kyle Walker or, a good, strong defender. I'm not saying they definitely would have stopped Rashford, but they definitely would have made a much better attempt than Dyer to have stopped Rashford in that situation and actually would have made it a challenge. There wasn't a challenge from Rashford to get past that. That was not difficult. That was very easy for Marcus Rashford. All he had to do was run in a straight line and then go and then hit the space. And it was very simple. And it was very poor defending from Dyer. And this is why we can't play Dyer in a back four when we're throwing risk to the game, because every time he's going to get and we're lucky that Man United didn't catch him more than he did yesterday, because a better team like City probably would have done that 3 or 4 times what United did yesterday with just the one time with Rashford.
Yeah, it's true. And like when you have players of that quality as well, that Bruno, that can just put it on a sixpence like that. I mean, he completely isolated Rashford to Dyer, and you knew what outcome was going to come from that. You just knew. And that made it right at the death of the first half, 2-0 pretty much. And you're thinking at that point, how many is it going to be today?
Yeah, you look at the first half stats, you bring on the thing, it tells the story. XG was 1.27 to United, 0.35 to Spurs. So we had a couple of openings, but shots on goal, they had 6 on target, we had 3. Big chances. We had one with Perisic, but they had 2, which Rashford scored, and then Rashford missed, I think, the other one. So definitely United were the better side. They 61% possession. They deserved the lead in that second half, in that first half.
Massively.
I don't think anyone could complain, despite the couple of openings we had. We couldn't complain that we were losing.
No, not at all. And then obviously half-time comes, the boos ring out at half-time. And I got to say, like, the atmosphere in that first half was absolutely shocking in terms of support for the team. I thought Enoch out chants and Levy out chants were very prevalent inside the stadium, which was much to my joy, to be honest.
Yeah,
but
the balloons coming on 20 minutes.
Were coming as well, and I think they got the balloons on the pitch, and I think the message was definitely put across yesterday inside the stadium, wasn't it?
Have you seen some of the clips from the first half as well? They zoomed in on the Enoch out banner, and then they took a shot to Daniel Levy, and he's like looking over, like fuming, like squinted eyes, like he's like so angry. You can see that was definitely a shot of Levy looking at the banner. And then when Rashford scored, they just go to a shot of Daniel Levy, and then Donna Cullen sitting behind him was like, "This is shit." It's something you can just see how mouthing is like, "Yeah, it is shit, Donna. This is all your fault, pretty much." That's what I got to say about that. But so first half, it was not much of a reaction, I would say, to Sunday. Albeit we weren't 5-0 down in 20 minutes, which is an improvement, I would say. But I wouldn't say like first half we did ourselves much proud. And they had a big job in that second half, to be fair. 2-0 down, and with all the circumstances to get back in the game.
I love that chant from the fans at 20 minutes gone. Everyone, I heard a few fans singing, "How shit must you be? It's only 1-0.
Yeah. No, it was, "How shit must you be? Newcastle had 3.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. But look, second half starts and it all changed, to be honest. It did all change. Spurs started very much on that front foot in the start of the second half. We had corners, we were pressurising them. And very early on, Højbjerg plays that great ball out wide to Perisic. He floats a lovely cross into the box. I think he was aiming for Richarlison, and I think Richarlison did get fouled, to be honest. He goes down from the contact from Casemiro. Kane is there. He tries to shoot. Luke Shaw completely blocks the ball, and it finds its way out to Porro, just on the edge or just inside the box. And outside of the boot, top corner. I mean, what quality does this guy have? And you've seen it in his Spurs career. I mean, I'm not going to talk about his defensive flaws because that's there for everyone to see, especially in the last couple of games. But in terms of attacking output, if we can get good defenders around him and really just concentrate on the attacking quality that he does have, 2 assists and 2 goals already in his Spurs career, I think it's brilliant.
Well, look, the guy is 23 years of age. There's no reason why he can't become a better defender at that age. Like, yes, his defensive ability is bad. Don't get me wrong, and he's a bit of a liability right now. But so was Walker at his age. Like, you can definitely improve that side of your game with good coaching, and hopefully he'll do that. But yes, I think he's already shown. He's probably shown already in his short time at Tottenham. He's got much more offensive ability than any other wing back we've had over the past couple years, especially with Emerson and Doherty. I think he's shown a lot more than them in terms of quality in the final third, ability to get really good quality cross in the box. And obviously yesterday, what a brilliant finish. And that was such a hard, like the ball is quite high up. It's like on the half volley. He has to hit it with a defender closing him down as well, with such a small target to aim at because there are defenders in the way. He literally just has that top corner to aim at with the outside of his boot, with the angle of that shot as well. So impressive to have able to find the back of the net, and it really did get us back in the game, and it was a brilliant finish, and fair play to him because he's had a tough time of it, and he's walked into an absolute mess, to be honest. But at least even in his poor performances, we've seen glimpses of his offensive ability, and I think yesterday was another example of that. And what was that? 2 goals and 2 assists, is it, or 2 goals and 1 assist since he's come? So
2 goals and 2 assists. I think
it's 2 goals and 2 assists. So he's like offensively, that's pretty decent for a new young wing back coming to a new country. So I think there's definitely signs of it.
He's outscored any wing back so far this season.
Outscored, yeah, because
Perisic aside, he's got more assists than probably any wing back this season.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. So I think so that's something to build on for him. And I hate it when I was on Twitter and I see a big Spurs account with I can't remember which one it was. It was one of the big ones with like nearly 100,000 or 50,000 followers or something. He's like, "Oh, this Porro is shit. He's terrible, isn't he? We signed another dud." I'm like, this guy's been here for 2 minutes. He's walked into an absolute shit show, and you're already writing him off, even though he has clearly shown ability already. Like, anyone with half a brain can see this guy has ability. He just needs to be in a more functioning team, and he needs to improve defensively 100%. But to just write him off like that, like, it just didn't sit right with me at all. He's a new player. We have to welcome him in, and it really annoyed me.
Yeah, and it's like, not only are we, talking about his defensive flaws as well, you're talking about a player that had to come off social media for 24 hours because of the abuse he was getting from the fan base after that performance. Mm-hmm. And we as a fan base need to look at ourselves a bit and act better than that. I mean, why are we abusing players full stop, first of all? Why are we abusing a player that's just come here?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't know why he's coming in for such heavy criticism. I guess it's, again, I feel like it's because he's a new player with some for big money, like 40 million. They just see that as like, oh, again, Levy spending money on rubbish. I think it just feeds into the ENIC out narrative, I think, if he's another bad player.
Concentrate on where the real problems are. Don't go for the players. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can go for the players as a collective, but don't go for them individually like that. I mean, especially a brand new player.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't make sense.
With bags of quality. Mm-hmm. So, look, let's carry on. I mean, after that goal, something switched in the stadium, didn't it, after that goal, because it was very kind of quiet and a bit toxic before that. And then as soon as that goal went in, you saw the effort from the players from the start of that second half, as soon as we came out from the tunnel. And the fans got on board with that, didn't they? And that's all we want. We want to see our players showing that heart, that desire, that passion to play for Tottenham, that fighting for the shirt. And I think we saw that in the second half, and the fans responded to it, because there was not one Spurs song before that. And then after that, the atmosphere was brilliant up until the end.
Yeah, and I think we really did get behind the team, and I think the players felt that. Although just after we scored, we could have easily gone 3-1 down. Yeah. We got a bit lucky there. Bruno hitting the bar after an unbelievable nutmeg on Longley. We did ride that, thankfully. But after that, Man United...
If that goal goes in, it's probably game over, really.
Yeah, 100%. But luckily, I think Man United did have that chance, and then after that, they did have very little. I don't remember too many chances after that one bit, apart from right near the end. But, yeah, I thought the fans did really get behind the team, and I felt the players were definitely feeding off that energy, and they were getting forward. Kulusevski came on. I thought he gave us a bit of a different dimension as well. Kulusevski, when he came on, I thought it was a good cameo from him, and we we were getting players in the box, throwing caution to the wind, being aggressive. I think maybe you could argue maybe there was 120 minutes plus penalties was maybe Man United starting to start to feel that at that point. Maybe they started to tire because we were so aggressive and they seemed to have no answer to it. We were just pressing really high. Perisic was pretty much like a left winger at this point. We were flooding players in the box, and it was such a shame. It was they were very lucky we didn't score before we equalised because we had some chances, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, but like Man United and Ten Hag did make some questionable changes in the game, didn't they? I mean, Sancho was playing well. He went off for Martial, and then Fred came on for Christian Eriksen. And that kind of took their impetus out of the game a little bit.
Yeah, I think he felt like they were tiring at that point. Maybe that's why he took them off. I think he was right to say that, but I think the changes didn't help them when it came to getting control of the game back because Spurs were on top. We were the ones creating chances and putting the pressure on, and Man United had very little answer to what we had. And Ten Hag's changes definitely didn't help their front line. Martial did nothing when he came on. Anthony went off, and Weghorst came on as well. He did very little. They had very little influence, but it was all about Harry Kane and his unbelievable dictating of play in that second half, especially in that period just after we got back to 2-1. He was just unbelievable.
I thought Harry Kane, from about the 60th minute onwards, was head and shoulders the best player on that park by far. He was hovering in those central midfield areas, and that one moment, wasn't it? Harry Kane, he like beats two men in the middle of the park. He plays like this defence-splitting pass in between Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka, I think it was. Pinpoint to Heung-min Son at the back post. And then the whole stadium is just literally just waiting to go mental for Heung-min Son just to rattle that into the back post, and it goes wide. And everyone's just like, what the hell has just happened here? Like, that was a nailed-on goal from Heung-min Son. You're thinking Heung-min Son, on form, with a bit of confidence, slots that 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10. Yeah,
100%. It was he skewed it so badly wide as well. It was a horrible, horrible finish. Brilliant play from Kane. Before that in the build-up, is like he showed. Not only did he show presence of mind to find Son at the back post there, but his kind of hunger to see off Lindelof and I can't remember who else it was, to wriggle in between them. I think it was Shaw. I think he just out-muscled both of them. And then and not only did he out-muscles them, then he creates his space for himself, then he has the vision to find Son. It's just absolutely fantastic all round. And I think as well from the for that Dyer chance, I think he makes a brilliant cross-field pass into Perisic. And that leads to Spurs opening up Man United again. Perisic and Son linking up down the left-hand side.
It was Højbjerg that played it out to Perisic.
That was for the goal, I think.
For the goal.
That was for the first goal. I think Højbjerg plays it out. But then for that chance, Kane plays a brilliant ball, cross-field pass, and that leads to Perisic and Son linking up. Perisic goes down the left-hand side. He was giving Wan-Bissaka a lot of trouble throughout that whole second half. He puts another brilliant ball in on a play. Eric Dyer somehow, some reason, he finds himself in the penalty box. He thought he'd throw some caution to, and to be fair, it nearly worked, but if it wasn't for an absolutely horrific finish from Eric Dyer, and it's not the first time he's actually had a really bad miss like that this season. I think in the Liverpool game, I think it was, he had a very similar miss.
But you know what? Like, if you want Eric Dyer to have any chance, that's probably the chance you want him to have at the back post, free header, the goal's right in front of him.
Wasn't even at the back post, literally centre of the goal, completely free, and he had it didn't even come at him that quickly. Like, he had time to watch it, and just, I think if I'm looking at the replay again, I think he tries to, instead of just what he should be doing, is just absolutely battering that into it doesn't, like, not even going for a corner, just battering it into the net with power. I think he tries too hard to like glance it into the corner. I think he overthinks it essentially, and it ends up going wide, where he should just powering that down, make sure you get it on target, and that's probably 2-2 at that point. Yeah. And I do think if we get the equaliser earlier than we did, we probably do go on to win the game. But unfortunately, the equaliser came at a point where Mason said our players were tiring at that point.
Yeah, look, I was saying to Adrian, my uncle who was sitting next to me at the game, I was saying to him at around the 60th minute mark, if we can score in the next 10 minutes, if we can score in the next 15 minutes, we can go on and win this game. That's how well we're playing at the moment. It just seemed like we were having wave after wave of attack, something I haven't seen Spurs do in ages. It was so great to watch. But when Dyer missed that chance, you're starting to think to yourself, is this goal ever going to come? Is the equaliser ever going to come? And then we make those changes, don't we? Davis for Perisic, Danjuma for Porro. And then you're looking at it. We've got Davis. I mean, at that point, it was 4 at the back, or was it 5 at the back with the double change?
I think it was still 5. Can't know when Porro went off.
Yeah.
I think we kind of went to a 4. We went to a 5 with Kulusevski as wing back for a bit, and then Tanganga came on.
But before Tanganga came on, didn't we got that equaliser before Tanganga came on?
We got the equaliser before Tanganga came on.
And Romero, I thought, did really well beating Rashford in the air to win that ball. Heads it to Harry Kane. Harry Kane, basically a carbon copy of that ball, slipped into Heung-min Son, slips him in again, and Sonny just made no mistake at that second time, and it was a nice finish coming back from where he came from pretty much. And I was so happy for Sonny because you saw how upset he was from missing that first chance. And he got us that equaliser, and after that, it was pretty much a bit little too late after that to go and win that game.
Yeah, we scored with 12 minutes to go. You're thinking, look, we got 12 minutes to put the pressure on, but I felt like Mason, he said it himself, after we equalised, he saw the players getting a bit leggy, and he changed the formation. And he said, like, I needed to do some game management because as much as I wanted to win the game, he felt like if we would have carried on the way we were going, there was more likely we were going to concede because these players were looking tired. So he had to change up and make it more defensive. And that's a bit frustrating because at that point we were on top and we were looking like we were the ones on going to score. And then he kind of makes some changes. And all of a sudden, is Man United finished the game stronger, and they were the ones who looked like they were going to get a goal and late on, and we never really looked like after that point scoring again. And it looked as and the way like Forster was taking time over his goal kicks and things like that, it did seem as though we were the ones happy with the point in the end. And
which
considering,
was frustrating, wasn't it?
Yeah, considering where we are on the table. I mean, a point and a loss at this point in the season. Like if let's say our aim is top 5, I guess a point helps a bit, but doesn't change too much. Obviously, if we're really going for top 4, that's probably over now. But that, you know, if you want an outside shot of it, you have to kind of make sure you're putting as much pressure on as possible, and you need a win in this game.
Does that tell you that Mason and the coaching staff just don't believe that top 4 is still possible?
I guess so. That's the only conclusion I can come up with, because if they did feel like that, they have to know that they have to win this game to have any sort of outside shot of it. I think, look, we all know it's probably gone anyway. Even if we win every game from now to the end of the season, at this point, it's probably gone regardless. But if we would have won yesterday and then went on a mad run and won every game, there's probably like a 5% shot of one of the two teams crumbling a bit. So you might have had an outside shot. Now we know it's gone for sure, even though it was gone before today. But it seemed as though they were resigned to that, and that was a bit frustrating. But I guess I understand it a bit. But you know, you could criticise Mason, but then again, Stellini went all out against Bournemouth, and then we got caught, didn't we? We ended up losing. So you could say, you know, it's better game management than that. Although I would argue we should have won that. We know under Stellini with that Bournemouth game, we probably should have scored with Charleston, and then all of a sudden you're looking at a 3-2 win. But I guess you could say, some would say it's better, good game management. Some would say you're settling for a result which isn't good enough.
What I would say is that I was upset that we did not push on for that win in the last 10 minutes. However, I feel like Mason's job coming into this football team right now is, first of all, to get a better tune out the players, make them play like a team again, and make them play with a bit of pride, which he got that out of them in the second half. And he got the fans on board as well in the second half, which we haven't seen in ages. So I think that when you're judging the game yesterday, I think you've got to say that Mason did a good job in terms of how bad we've been since that Southampton game. 5-0 after 20 minutes against Newcastle. I think pretty much Mason's job was to come in here and stop the rot. And I think he's done that. And
to be fair, we did have an expected goals yesterday overall of 2.48, which is apparently our highest expected goals since about October time, which goes to show how devoid of chance creation we have been for quite a while in this team. So especially in that second half, we had we had over 2 XG in the second half, 12 shots on goal, 4 on target, 3 big chances. So we really did have lots of better opportunities in that second half, and it was a much improved. The players seemed more up for it. There's a lot more energy, and so you definitely have to give praise to Mason. And even if you look at the if you bring on the screen the average position, look how high like people like Perisic is there on the right hand side. He's literally being like we're pretty much this formation was like a 3-2-5 essentially, or a 4-2-4 a bit, because you had like Perisic pretty much as a left winger as opposed to a wing back, and you had Porro very high up as well. You have Kane in kind of that number 10 position, and then Son and Richarlison quite central, but also quite high up. So I think you have to give him credit for going more offensive, throwing caution to the wind. He went against us in that one moment with when Dyer got caught, but in the second half we definitely went for us, and we deserved to get back in the game and deserved at least a point.
Yeah, I actually thought we deserved the 3 points yesterday with that second half performance. I know Man United still carved out openings and still, could have hurt us. But I just feel like when you're judging the two teams, both how they played over the whole stretch of the 90 minutes and the chances that each team did create, I felt Spurs maybe slightly edged it yesterday.
Yeah, I think we did edge it. If anyone deserved the win, I think it was probably us. I do think a draw was probably a fair result considering how many chances United also had in that first half. But I do think that second half were well worth the point, and I don't think United could complain if we did end up getting a winner, considering how many chances we did have in that second half. So I think you have to give Mason credit for getting the team together and coaxing that performance out of them. And it was something that we haven't seen in a while, to be honest. And it was nice to see Tottenham creating chances, being on the front foot, throwing caution to the wind. And look, to be fair, at home we have been okay by and large this season. We have been a lot better at home than we have been away from home. So it carries on that theme, but it just felt like we hadn't seen that kind of performance in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll see more what these players are really about and where their mentality is at this weekend against Liverpool at Anfield, when they're definitely going to be up against it. But it was just nice to go and enjoy watching football again, because I haven't enjoyed a game like that for so long, and it was just nice to go and enjoy watching my team play. Because how many times have we spoken to fans this year being like, oh, at this stage I don't care about this, I don't care about that, I just want to go and enjoy watching my team play. And I think that's what people got yesterday.
Definitely in the second half, anyway.
Yeah, in the second half.
Definitely in the second half, yeah.
But anyway, that is our match review for the 2-2 draw with Manchester United at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Let me know your thoughts in the game in the comment section below. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on you Spurs.